when Flame or POL was on the team now, because it's just too much Handsome. Like, they overfilled the quota, and, like, that's just not allowed.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, they somehow got a bump to their quota, and now it's still going up.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly right.
We've seen a lot of cool haircuts in the LPL, certainly. I mean, Looper there looking a little sloppy, I have to say, with the hair, but reasonably neat, focused on his game, I guess, nice and simple. That's how he likes it. I mean, QG, of course, fantastic haircuts. It's Master explosive entry into the LPL for the last few weeks, and cool. He's definitely been my biggest detractor. His hair, so unkempt.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, the LPL hair rankings from Pastry Time.
Oh, look, I'll publish them weekly if you guys want, but we do have a draft to get to instead, so maybe let's go there. M3 on the blue side, LGD now on the red. Cassiopeia banned once again. Kallista's going to join them this time. LGD do not, actually, that's a ban away. On the red side, full imp, but don't want to give it to SMLZ.
Yeah, so we've seen this. People just, some teams, and not everyone right now, just really value Callista, so they're happy to first pick it, but then they ban it away when they're on that side because they don't want to play against it. So LGD appear to be one of those teams, and you see Varus hitting the bench. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either,
I think
actually.
Dade actually just reached over onto Looper's keyboard.
Yeah, is he there? Can we see him? He might be standing up, currently making sure Looper gets that ban in. Hecarim banned out there as well. So that's away from Looper. I like that pick away as well. And it's cool to see that, the teams clearly have done their homework with each other. And, a lot of targeted bans, actually, especially after game number 1.
Yeah, and, I was just having a chat to Papa Smithy, and we were saying, Dade, he obviously focuses on these champion pools. He's trying to get up to date with the meta, but that was against a double AD carry. Where was the Z pickup that could come through there and really wreck the day of Varus in the mid lane? Where was something like a Yasuo double AD carry? Yasuo would have been a great pickup to take into that lineup. We're seeing the resurgence of Yasuo come back through. People like Someday and now Impact are picking up in the NALCS in the top lane and absolutely wrecking shop against Nas with it. But obviously just focused in on the new style of mid laners and really got made punished.
I think it's one of those things where Dade almost feels like trapped, I guess, in some ways, where he knows that his champion pool needs to kind of move with the times a bit quicker, but he is a slow player to come to champions and really master them. So if he gets himself too far in that mindset, then he's like, oh wait, I can also play these champions that I've been playing for years now, and just doesn't remember to go back for them. M3's drafting has been a really sore point for me, just all year long, to be honest with you. When they draft well, they seem to play well, and that's not a surprise, because honestly, that's true of all the top teams.
Yeah, it certainly is, and don't get me wrong, M3's draft actually looked good, as we see a couple more picks come through. PYL, he's got the Thresh again. Imp this time, surprise, surprise, going to jump over onto Sivir. But one thing I want to mention, if you go back and watch that LGD game, watch how often the support cheats towards the bottom side, the blue side of the map for M3 that game, and look for tower dives. Because there were 2 or 3 times where Dade was getting repetitively shoved in, and instead of him feeling like he can call his jungler in, it's always, I'm going to be turret dive. Even the gank they turned around, where they tried to go in on Varus, 3 members walked through his turret and ended up getting a double kill for it. It was the Maokai, it was PYL coming through there as well as Imp. So, yes, congratulations to Godfrey for really resoundingly winning the lane because he was doing it beforehand, but then the implied pressure that they were able to put in there, really get into Dade's head, meant that he just couldn't be the playmaker that his team needed to be.
Yeah, and Dade's certainly a player with a lot riding his mentality as well. We've seen that time and time again. Catching up on the draft though, Lucian Janna there for M3, so a completed bottom laner. Nice to see Janna sort of coming back a bit. Maokai for Flame here, not going to be the Gnar this time, but an even tankier tank there for the top laner.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a pick away from Looper there in the top lane. We've seen that he's been happy to mix it up and go with some different things, but maybe he just needs to play super standard and go with something like the Maokai up in there in the top lane. Very good matchup, I think, for Maokai right now against Gnar, so that's probably what Looper is going to go towards. And, Maokai's kind of like Gnar consistently through the entirety of the game, although it looks like he might go with Rumble.
He's kind of like mini Mega Gnar, but he's always mini Mega Gnar, which is nice. Yeah, I agree. He was banned in the last game here, so just been such a popular and consistent top laner, but this is the standard counter pick coming through. Rumble there for Looper, pretty seasoned Rumble player himself, with Acorn once again sitting on the bench, looking sad. Flame as well, looking across from his old main, being like, no Rumble this time around. But it is going to be the pick once again for Dade, so M3 back to comfort. Yeah,
so just trying to get a full comfort pick down the line, and Godvi taunting a little bit here, maybe going with the fizz.
We've seen this matchup. Godvi really really just destroys Aziz when he gets a chance to. Especially on a champion like Fizz, that is.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a really good matchup for Fizz, but, you know, Orianna left open, and that's what he's going. Old control versus new control, and Godby, if anyone, has shown that he is an absolute master of Orianna. He plays champions phenomenally well, and then there's Orianna.
Yeah, I think he's Orianna. Yeah, it's just a cut above the rest of them here. So a really cool matchup now developing in the mid lane. Was already one to watch here between Dade and Godby, but with these two champions especially, I think Dade wants redemption for that last Azir game.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. He's a very proud player coming through there in the mid lane, Dade. And, you know, they've got a very squishy lineup, so I'm not surprised the Orianna came through because Shockwave's in this composition going to be completely devastating. If they get a death cap early onto Godby, he's going to be able to hit those 3-4-man Shockwaves and delete people.
And as we can see, Lupa on the Rumble versus Flames Maokai. We'll see how that matchup goes there. Condi back on something a bit more standard. It's actually Rek'Sai Gragas, so not as many jungle bans mean that some of the standard picks fall through. And the big mid lane matchup here as well, Azir versus Orianna.
Yeah, so we'll see whether Dade can get any form of redemption against Godby in that mid lane. Moving into the bottom lane, SMLZ versus Imp will be Lucian Jana versus Sivir Thresh down there to round out our picks. And you feel that M3, they need to get a little bit more done in that bottom lane. SMLZ was certainly playing well, but didn't really get through and really pressure like you need to on Urgot, and that's a champion we'd complimented him for.
Just a bit more consistency, I think, from M3, and just try not to fall as far behind early game. Again, their last comp was amazing. They just couldn't get to a spot where it was good, so just find more consistent ways to get to the point where you clearly feel comfortable, because M3 to me is sort of developing into a late game team.
Yeah, and you know, they went super late and weren't able to get there. More mid game this time.
Well, let's find out what happens in this particular mid game. We're about to get onto the Rift. And welcome back for game number 2 between Master3 and LGD. LGD up a game in almost record time here in this split of the LPL, but no shenanigans this time for LGD, keeping it really straight and simple with the team comp, but M3 are doing the same, so this should be one hell of a game.
Yeah, Lupa's seen this before, gets the ward out this time around. 5-man strong invading onto Lupa's side of the map, and he's like, nope, I am out.
He is out there, and I have to say, just looking through the early inventories, Lupa is the only one that really sticks out to me here. What do you think of this early Doran Shield?
I think he's expecting a lane swap to come through, and, you know, maybe that's what they're going for here, but Doran Shield not really going to do much work against Flame up there. In fact, might be a little bit more of a delay to his build than he wants. So we'll see whether if he does get the lane swap or whether they go for standard lanes.
Yeah, PWL's actually got one as well, so clearly I think Imp and PWL want to be aggressive in whichever matchup they find themselves in, and
well, that generally means you want a 2v2. So if PYL's got one, that means that they're looking for the 2v2, and if Lupa's got one, he's looking for the 1v2.
That's all good.
One person's going to be very sad.
Yeah, I mean, Imp and PYL, again, kind of developing to be a pretty deadly duo lane as well. I think we credit Deft and Mako a lot from EDG for being really strong in 2v2s. In fact, Lupa, that's a nice trap. Oh, he's like saplings? No, Lupa's afraid. Lupa's very afraid.
He knows they're in there.
Yeah, he does as well. Yeah, they are going to start it off here, but no help coming, unfortunately. PYL's going to come down. The lane swap actually there for LGD, despite the early Dorans for the duo lane, and Lupa completely zoned out of the jungle.
Yeah, he actually had to walk the long way back around. He's still flame spittering as well, so it's quite comical to watch, but he's able to get away from them at least. Not really going to hurt Condi's jungle because he's Rek'Sai. He can jungle completely fine. Lupa will eventually join back up, be able to leech some experience, and a lane swap has come through.
So late, though, and I think he was trying to start the Gromp with the way he was positioned, so whatever Lupa's early plans were completely foiled by LGD.
Yeah, and I wonder whether he's going to... He did. He just absorbed the whole, like, didn't give anything back to Condi. This isn't let's get Rek'Sai level 3 and try and gank with her. It's just... give me some experience.
Yeah, please give me some experience. And does get it there, so the jungle follows will continue, but Dade...
Oh, Dade, you're a...
He's always a target. Flame goes in, massive TBQ dives in, and Dade already flashed the barriers down. The Condi and Lupa, incredible answer, and first blood goes to the Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble able to grab it after a nightmare start, and Lupa very happy. Dade held onto the barrier till the very last second, able to pull it off, got the level up as well in there, and all of a sudden, what was a very smart gank, that's the nightmare thing about Maokai. You just end up where you don't want to under turrets. Nice
read by M3 as well. I think that gank feels so predictable looking at it because every team picks on Dade when they play against M3, but Dade, who's probably sick of it at this stage, is the blue I guess blue takeaway is going to come through for M3. That's their blue buff, I suppose,
TBQ.
given the jungle. Yeah, that's not a safe place to be standing. Does get the ward down, though.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to go for his wolves. They'll see him go through the wall. They can gank him here, and he's in a lot of trouble.
They're pinging. Tremor Sense coming up massive there for Condi. Looper going to come through. Condi going to try and take it away. Does smite the big wolf, and TBQ going to lose the camp there.
Yeah, not very happy. I was wondering whether they were going to wait for him to use Body Slam. Flame, extremely low, must have been doing Raptors by himself. And you know, a little bit of normalcy returns to the map, and an early advantage this time over for M3.
I feel like Looper's actually gotten ahead now. He is level 3. He's gotten decent CS with the jungle follow. PYL actually has to make sure that the Krog can fall down. Scuttlecrab dies as well, and M3 very smoothly transitioned to Dragon.
Yeah, and Left CD, the only smart person there, was like, guys, you know what hits everyone standing behind it? How about one person tank it? But in the end, it's okay. They're going to grab the first Dragon. Just little things can sometimes save you some HP.
Please turn the boss around. Does happen there as Condi.
Don't stand in fire.
Yeah. So many gamers have learned these very quickly in their early gaming lives, as they will get the Dragon here. M3, 4.5 minutes in, and things looking good in the early game.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they're sending Looper back right now because he's still full health. He could have maybe soloed out the Krogs by himself because they're still level 1 Krogs, I believe, and then gone back. But instead, he's picked up the makings of a Haunting Guise, and he's going to go back into top lane for the 1v2.
Yeah, he's going to feel a bit better about his chances in that particular matchup now as well, especially because he does have his Doran Shield that he bought at level 1, so things going to come up reasonably nice now for the Rumble. Pink Ward there as well to prevent any sort of ganks from coming through. And Imp keeping the wave in a nice spot. Rumble might have to wait, maybe take a camp if possible. He's actually got Janna following him, so maybe just a dual lane being created now.
Yeah, maybe looking for a weird dual lane up there, try and get some lane pressure back. It's same things coming through for TBQ and Flame, with jungler and top laners hooking up there in the bottom lane. And have to see how this works out for Flame as Looper as he heads into the lane.
Might be a gank potential for LGD. Flame's actually really deep into this brush, and SMLZ freezing the wave. That is a dangerous position to be in. He is level 5.
Still got Flash available on TBQ, so they can knock him up if they go for it.
SMLZ's got his heal. He's got summoners up here as well. Going to be tricky. They'll have to time it right, and Condi's even in the bottom area.
Yeah, and Flame could end up back up. Oh,
good W.
Nah,
I actually don't know.
it.
I guess not, because he's still staying there. That's too close. Flame, though. Oh, bait maybe from SMLZ. Knocked around, though, but forced to flash away and use the heal, but he does stay safe.
And, you know, that's still really bad for Flame because he ended up back underneath the turret and he has no HP potions left. He's chugging one right now, but Condi, he's here for a gank, might be able to go in.
Yeah, I mean, Flame's a pretty juicy-looking target. SMLZ will be level 6.
5.
Yeah, relatively soon. He's level 5. He's going to be 6. In reasonably short order, but Condi does give it up. SMLZ, I guess, just feels safe where he is, and his jungler will stay around for a second, but Flame's going to leave, and I think Condi's going to leave too.
Yeah, so they're just trying to shove it in. They need to shove the next wave, though, and they recognize that, but Condi, he's still around.
Yeah, managed to stay around. TBQ and Flame really committing to trying to kill SMLZ, but level 6 now for the Lucian. No vision. Condi going to dive his way in. SMLZ will go through. Chilling Smite goes down. Culling is available. SMLZ just needs to find the right target. Flame is going to be his target there. The barrel down, though, for TBQ, and no kills, unfortunately.
Yeah, so they don't even get summoner spells out of it. SMLZ going to be able to shove the wave, but message well and truly sent, and that is Flame cannot lane right now against the Lucian.
And you know, Flame ended up in a lot of what I like to call the Flame swaps in Spring, where a player that's certainly used to 1v1 lanes got constantly put by teams into 2v1s. This is an even worse version of that for Flame, who honestly got quite good at lane swaps by the end.
Yeah, he certainly did. You know, people were like, if you can't 2v1, then you don't deserve to be in the current meta. And I think that was actually really unfair criticism towards the end of the season, at least, because he 2v1s relatively well. I think that was a bad call to go for a gank when he didn't have his flash, because he was going to end up underneath turret. That's how Maokai's W works. People dash you under turrets repetitively. They should have just shoved the wave.
And comparing the top lane CS right now, or at least what would be the top laners in a normal situation, 25-13, with Looper having what was a fairly horrible start with a nice redeeming first blood for himself. He's shot ahead in the early stage, and he's going to go back into his 1v1 counter matchup now.
Yeah, so he'll be able to get back up there ahead. I like that you call it a counter matchup, because that matchup really is in Rumble's play. Maokai players got very good at surviving it, but ever since the passive nerf came through, the sap magic, you just can't heal up all the damage Flame Spitter did because it's not the same passive early game.
I mean, equal on experience, but not equal on CS or items. And Condi going to tip the balance here. He's actually up in the top lane.
Yeah, but you see TBQ, he pinged out the fact that there was a pink ward there. I think they're actually trying to match this one, and we'll have to see whether they can get in counter gang territory.
I mean, TBQ level 5 on Gragas, so no ultimates in the top lane yet for any of the top laners or junglers. Both junglers very instinctively will back away, and Imp beats a nice piercing light there. So level 6 Lucian, BF Sword already. I think this is the situation most Lucians want to be in when they do pick themselves into Sivir.
Yeah, it certainly is, but you know, we keep saying it about Sivir. She starts losing a lane, what does she do? She just shoves out and leaves. And that's exactly what Imp just did. He just threw one Boomerang Blade, now he's not there.
Yep, Scuttlecrab's going to be his target instead. Should be able to take this away and collect some vision for his team and gold for himself. Boomerang Blade out there as well, and Imp's going to get himself a nice juicy bit of gold.
Yeah, so be able to pick that one up. Nice 52 gold coming through there. Instead, SMLZ, he's doing the same thing with the Krugs now, and this isn't mind games that come through from AD carries. Just make sure you leave.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually have presence on the map. This is sort of what I was saying at the top of our start here of the day, is that AD carries and supports are really backing up and leaving a lot more than they used to.
Yeah, they certainly are, and level 6 has been hit. Teleport's back available for both top laners, so we might see some fireworks coming through. Look at the deep ward, especially now where Love CD is standing. That one is a perfect target for Flame to be able to teleport to and see whether they can get anything going, although Imp continues the shove.
I mean, this is Sivir. We've sort of talked about it already at length, I feel like, this weekend, but this is what Sivir wants to do. TBQ, though, going to make his way down on the Grungle and sneak into a brush protected by a pink ward here, so he is not spotted out. In fact, there's no wards anywhere, and LGD going to look for a pick and maybe then a dragon.
Yeah, and they know exactly where the Azir is, so there maybe the ability to force right now. The level 6 hasn't been reached on Love CD, and you feel that is the point where they would back away. But, oh, it takes even more damage. This is a very juicy dive.
Yeah, they're actually looking for a 2v2 to protect the wall, but don't quite feel comfortable. Dade racing in there, gets got me out. Shockwave moves in as well, but Condi's come in. Dade there, a little too much damage, moves the soldiers back in. Down the bottom, SMLZ gets hooked after the Gragas ult, and Imp takes him out. Mid lane gate not successful, but very much success in the bottom lane.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you said. They chose two different parts of the map to go aggressive. Double defensive summoner spells, the important thing. Godby very hard to track down and kill, especially with the fact that already got some defensive stats in there. And on the other side of the map, Lucian sitting duck. No flash available from last gank time around, and they're able to pick it up.
They are indeed, and you can see PWL's actually gone back. Imp relentless in the bottom lanes trying to take it out. Condi will get a ward there, so the Raptor Sense helping out there with that smite buff coming in. Looper doing decently, actually needs to go back and shop by the looks of things because he's got a decent CS still built up, actually still about 10 ahead of Flame. And you can see the problem here for Maokai. Just so much damage on the Flame Spitter.
Yeah, if the visual wasn't enough for you, that fire kills trees,
yeah.
I'm sure that you just got the very clear picture from that.
Yeah, the Pokemon Classic gets super effective. That's, yeah, effectively how the matchup works.
Yeah, exactly right. And as we said, it was all about the nerf to Maokai's passive, something that you don't think about, but Rumble rotates through spells so much, especially with the shield trying to absorb the damage. You used to get a lot more health back than you currently do, and it just means that Flame can't stay up there in the matchup. And
as you can see, with the Flame Spitter ticking as well, you lose a lot of health in those trades, so you needed that health to just survive what was already kind of a bad matchup, and is certainly a counter matchup in this stage. Dragon is back up as well, so we'll see which team wants to go for it. Looper, fairly strong at this stage, especially if he goes to recall now. The teleports are available in a Rumble. We've seen it so many times. He does not make Dragon fights equal in the early game.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't, but he's gone for the mind game. He wants to catch Flame out. Doesn't think he has enough for the sapling, so he was trying to sit in the brush. Flame now does go back, so Looper going to get the last shove into the turret, then maybe look for the Dragon.
Yeah, Flame actually didn't complete that recall. Almost got baited there by Looper, but he spots himself out again, and they'll keep pushing in the top side. They're sort of daring each other to go back here, because I think M3 know the longer Looper stays in this lane, A, it's good because he's already ahead, and he'll only get more gold, but LGD will never attempt Dragon while Looper's visible in the top lane.
Yeah, I like that you say that, and the other thing is if they do it, if M3 now force Dragon, they know that Flame teleports with no mana. Whereas Rumble, resourceless champion, can relentlessly shove into the turret, and he never has to worry about not being useful in teamfights because of his ulti and because of the fact he doesn't have resources.
And Flame finally able to go back there. Looper will push the last wave in, and TBQ, good movements here, going to prep the Scuttlecrab for this potential Dragon as well. Tower goes down. LGD, a fairly decent position, but Looper, he shops, he's got his Haunting Guys. Does he have enough for the Sorceres? He does. Rumble is ready for this dragon fight.
Yeah, it certainly is, but it looks like they're not going to fight it. TBQ started it up, and there's no response coming through from M3 yet.
They've got a ward. Maybe Lupa just decides to push the go button. He does. He's warding in towards a flank here by the looks of things, and LGD immediately back away. Flame can teleport in, but M3 are going to swoop in for the dragon.
Yeah, there is no way that Flame wants to fight this at all. You've got the knock-up that will come through from Condi. You've got the equalizer they're trying to steal.
There they're going in. TBQ, no, misses the smite. Dade zoning him out as well. Their Lupa needs to find this equalizer. The TBQ running in. Equalizer right in the choke. Love City around the side, and Condi get the first kill. M3 going to keep running in. Who else can they find? Condi gets far too low. Almost dies to an Orianna auto. He'll use there as well by Imp to protect the next kill. Lupa gets grabbed by PYL. Shockwave gets through, but Love City with a good Janna ultimate, and Dade, he's rode right into the team, but SMLZ gonna play cleanup. That's a double. Imp gonna maybe be the third here as well, and M3, a well-played dragon fight.
And what an unselfish play out of Dade. He was not living that, but went extremely deep to get the 3-man ultimate, and SMLZ picks up 2 exit kills, and now maybe Lupa gets Flame.
No, doesn't get his flash, and Flame will not go down. A turret a little too tough there for that particular dive, but the problems start to compound here. And LGD, who had a great early game in game number 1, the one thing we said was M3, just clean up your consistency in the early game a bit and try and get to the mid-late game stages where you look so much stronger. This is a significantly better early game for M3.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, if a team is really good at the mid-game, like LGD is, if they're able to get through the laning phase, sometimes you just have to pick better laning matchups. And this time, if you look at it, Rumble definitely gets the better of Maokai. The Lucian is much more of a lane, like, quasi-bully, can at least trade equally, because realistically, Urgot relies on his abilities to harass, so this is going to be a little bit easier coming through, especially now with 2 kills. And Dade, once he got rid of the Azir, looks much more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the Varus was a tough matchup. Flame, though, having a tough time as TBQ will rejoin in. Lupa out of heat, though, although does get it back after overheating. TBQ going to get slowed out. Good equalizer there by Lupa. Going to get 1. Flame's going to be the second, and this Rumble is getting big.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, 2 members heading up there. They'll probably be able to clean up both members.
Oh, PYL trying to make it happen. Godby, flash dissonance there, able to get in the kill after moving the ball. So a decent trade there, but Lupa still comes out on top.
Yeah, 1 for 2 coming through there, and Dade gets some free time in the mid lane to shove. So overall, huge in M3's favor, and now they're starting to be the proactive team. Dade going to grab a turret.
I think just the way Dade is playing especially, he's playing with, I think, necessary caution, but intelligent caution as well. He knows he's behind. He sort of expects to get bullied around maybe a bit in the matchup. Godvy's always an aggressive player. He loves to bully you, so he takes the 10 CS deficit, stays in his lane, communicates well to his team. A brilliant counter gank by M3 actually got Lupa the first blood that got into the spot in the first place. And it's just so much more control and such better early game decisions that actually leave M3 now 3,000 gold up on LGD.
Yeah, definitely agree. You know, we saw some great plays out of Dade last game, but his team wasn't able to finish off the little bits left of the kills. The one underneath the turret in mid lane comes to mind straight away. But this time around, SMLZ jumped on the opportunity. Lupa in a much better position. Now he's picked up a Leandries to, I guess, execute people in these team fights. And Dade, he's happy to get things going for his team, and then there are people this time that can finish it off. Yeah,
Dade's Azir mechanics in the last game, and pretty much whenever we've seen him play the champion, are just spot on here. And unfortunately for Dade, it wasn't even just his team, it was him. He just didn't have any gold. If he'd had a death cap earlier and if it wasn't so far behind, he was 4,000 gold behind Varus at one point in that game. It would have looked a lot better, and those plays might have been pulled off. Now Dade effectively equal, although just behind in a couple of ways here. Hasn't needed to see large rod. Athene's is completed. He's ready to go when his team wants to fight. And Lupa right now, that next dragon, trust me, it has his name etched on it.
Yeah, it certainly does. He is in a fantastic position to fight. You see that LGD, once again, trying to just beat M3 around the map. They will be able to do it here, pick themselves up a free turret. So once again, really credit to LGD's mid-game shot calling because they make the most out of it, although there's 4 members heading up there now for a gank.
Yeah, those classic Civil rotations, so good at taking out turrets, especially out as Condi gets flayed away there by PYL, and TBQ's there to protect Dade, looking for a play, doesn't quite find it, but the counter rotation now out for M3.
Yeah, but Godby, he's going to be able to pick up mid lane, so overall, even if they equalize top lane, which I don't think they can, positive net game here for LGD, so really smart movement coming around.
So rotationception then as Godby with the counter rotation, pressuring onto mid, but Lupa counter rotation, now looking for a gank.
Yeah, so they've pinged everyone out. Now SMLZ will be able to grab that turret because they've given up defending it. And overall, that's pretty equal. So M3 showing that they can move around the map just as well as LGD. And Next Dragon, it's only a minute away. You'd think that after this turret falls, everyone races down for vision.
Good timing here from M3, actually. They'll get the turret. SMLZ will have time to go back and make sure he gets his next items. Actually pushing another wave. Might be a bit greedy, but Condi's in reserve. PYL looks for a hook, but doesn't get it. Tornado will keep them safe, and M3, they have to rush back because they know they want this third dragon.
Yeah, they need his shop into Dade as well. He has no health at the moment, so that's a little bit greedy. He does finally go back now, and only about 40 seconds to set up for it once he's in base. That's probably enough time.
It's about enough time. I think most teams like to leave about a minute for those recalls to shop and come back and make sure you set up vision, but 45 seconds might be cutting it a little fine, but it's just about enough.
Yeah, so the really important thing is that you can still see two members top lane, so realistically, LGD probably not even going to fight for number 3, probably will wait for number 4. So they might be able to grab this one for free, although SMLZ gets a little bit chunked in the mid lane. And they do really need to clean up their vision control, especially on the bottom side of the map, M3.
Dragon maybe not as clean as far as timing goes here for M3. Looper actually, with his teleport's going to be the one to clean out the top wave. Rek'Sai goes back, immediately ults back into the pit, and an Aegis just got completed there for Condi. So they are ready to go as far as this fight goes. And again, we'll have the dueling teleports, but once more, Rumble at early Dragon fights, that is not created equal.
Yeah, and you know, they just completely give it up. Agree with the call out of LGD. It's number 3, the movement speed buff is useful, but really not worth fighting a mid-game Rumble over, especially one that's 3-1-2, 40 CS ahead, like Looper is in this game. And all of a sudden, they haven't really got this items together. They're going for the piecemeal builds. Godby's gone for the Haunting Guys, very cost-efficient against squishy members, but doesn't have the huge pack that the needlessly large rod will have coming out of Dade. So you can see that they're starting to maybe struggle a little bit here, LGD.
And SMLZ's crept up to a nice, I guess, equal footing here against Imp here. A bit behind in CS, but has good build, has his build kind of online at this point. Static Shiv should have enough here to be able to complete it, if not now, at least in short order. Going to pressure up a turret. I like this play a lot from M3, realizing that their lanes are ahead, so just keep pushing them. You don't want to get into the situation where you accidentally lose a 5v5 team fight that you otherwise should have won. And the gold lead's there, but not massive. 3,000 gold still for M3. Do need to maybe put their foot down to the pedal a little bit more.
Yeah, M3, they've still got a reasonably good late game. I want to see where Looper takes his build. Does he go for the Void Staff coming through, or is he doing his best Myron impression and going for the Death Cap early on? Because if he gets any more AP, it might be what people think is a little bit of overkill, but honestly, if he gets one rotation of spells through, this team of LGD right now is so squishy that it'll be enough.
I mean, we've already seen what the Equalizers can do. We've seen what the Flame Spitters do to poor Flame. Deathcap, especially on Rumble. He's such an interesting champion with the way he peaks and troughs constantly throughout a game, or even just a lane as far as levels are concerned. People forget that when he's in close range, if he doesn't die, he does do pretty dumb damage.
Yeah, he does ridiculous damage, and you know, the Equalizer, it doesn't scale phenomenally well, but every bit of AP helps, and late game especially, it just rips through people still. So he's going up top, wants to gank Sivir, and Thresh hanging back, trying to save.
Oh, Imp going to come through. Good lantern from PYL, constantly spacing to make sure it's safe.
They're still going.
Yeah, SLZ wants a box to use by PYL. Massive max range equalizer there from Looper. Teleport in from Flame as well. Condi's been caught by PYL. Gragas ulti comes in, but Dade, absolutely ridiculous ultimate. And LGD get the floor wipe with them. Shockwave is not enough to kill Condi. SMLZ's kind of running with a nice heal there, protecting that very, very low jungler, and M3 decisively win that fight.
Yeah, 22 minutes, 3 down. They're going to go for Baron.
Baron time. We've seen this a lot from M3, actually. We used to say this about EDG as the team that loved to rush the Baron after a pick. Godby might be the next one. Can't get it, but force a flash. And I think they should still go for this Baron.
Oh, that's a very risky Baron now. I think that they pull out of it. There's not enough time left. They already rotated Flame through.
Well, get another pick, then go back for the Baron here. LGD getting run around here in these fights. SMLC goes in so deep, gets the kill onto Maokai. Looper takes out Godby. M3 really making plays.
That was legitimately like watching EDG right there. They committed everything to that one fight. And then, as you said, just get the next pick because they repetitively had to face check. They turned, what, a 3,000 gold lead? Through kills alone, they added another 2,000 onto it, and it all went towards Looper and SMLZ after Dade had another sick play.
Yep, Dade stealing the blue buff. No, TBQ actually smites it away, so does not get it, but wanted to steal it away. The intention was there for Dade, but M3, their next shops are going to look really scary for LGD, and you mentioned that gold lead jumped up from about 3,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, and looks like they've just got complete control. Let's take another look at this Azir play because he gets behind all of them. Flash and then just Azir Sex. I don't know what we're calling it.
It's
apparently it's a Shurima Shuffle or something. But whatever it was, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was a great Azir Sec, wasn't it, Spawn?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Good stuff there from Dade. Death Cap actually the item of choice for him, so he is turning it on in the mid-game here. Ryla is actually the choice for Looper. Interesting. I like it.
I actually really like it. The reason is because you look at the lineup and there are no gap closers. So all of a sudden you get hit by a Harpoon, you're on absolutely nowhere. I'm looking at Godby, I'm looking at Imp, I'm even looking at Flame. All of a sudden, how do you get away without a gap closer from the amount of slow that will come through from Looper right now?
And you know what I realized? We have seen so little double AP in the Cinder Hulk meta, but I actually love M3's comp here. Ryla sets up Azir really nicely. He's gone for the death cap. We used to classically see in double AP, one guy does all the damage and one guy does all the CC, and he still does decent damage as well. And you get to the mid game and just power down people with your powerful champions before you get outscaled. I have to assume that's M3's plan here, and it's looking good so far.
Yeah, you know, I completely agree. And if he follows the trend, goes something like an Abyssal next to continue to unlock Dade, who can get something like a Stinger to just peak at the perfectly right time, although knowing Dade, it's going to be a Luden's Echo because he just wants to do all the damage possible. They're in a really good position, and the further they keep building this way, they can't itemize armor, and SMLZ, he's going to sneak up on you because he's already nearly got a Bloodthirster.
He's going for the rich man's build as well. BT going to come through as his third item. You mentioned all the MR that LGD are frantically trying to stitch together. SMLZ not a care in the world, 226, even he's about 25 CS behind him, and probably still doesn't mind as Looper held onto that teleport for quite a while, never leaving a side lane.
Yeah, so he's just continuing to split push, building that CS advantage up to about 60 right now. We credited Godby last game, really need to credit Looper this one for putting on a clinic against Flame.
Poor Flame.
Yeah.
I mean,
just Looper got first blood. There's not really much Flame can do after that.
Didn't Looper get first blooded in the last game?
Yeah, but that's not his call. He's a top laner. He was being made jungle.
See what happens there. I mean, maybe the connection is Looper. Looper is the key. If he gets first blooded, it's bad news for M3. If he gets first blood, hello victory.
I like it.
Look, we solved it. Clearly, Dragon's back up right now as well. In fact, as M3 are going to look for their fourth there, and Looper is so disgustingly strong. I don't think LGD can even look at this Dragon.
Yeah, they're trying to get in there because it's number 4 and you don't want to put that 6-minute timer on, but it's already down and now they need to head for the hills.
Yep, 6-minute timer on. Dade, they're out of position, means a 4v5 going to be now in play for M3. LGD
Shockwave was used and on the hunt. I don't even know if they even win.
I mean, now maybe not now, actually. You're right, those key ultimates used to take out Dade, but the rest of M3 back away in a big wave in the top side for M3, although LGD do get the turret in mid.
So they get the turret in mid for 4th Dragon as well as a kill, probably in LGD's favor, but someone needs to go top, and now M3 don't pull the trigger, so that's where it's going to end.
I wonder if Looper will TP up here. That'd be very manly, although probably not, given that the rest of his team would then be on the wrong side of the map. So Flame going to get some juicy CS here in the top side. He's been wanting for CS all game long. You still look at those scores. He's about 60 behind still.
Yeah, so not able to piece much together. Looper actually going for Zonya's Hourglass as his next item. He's sitting on a cloth armor there. So he'll go back and pick up the Seeker's Arm Guard and a Pink Ward probably for himself. And, you know, LGD, they got something at least out of the last Dragon. Gold back to about 5,000. But in 5 minutes' time, they're going to be forced to fight, and Looper is just ridiculously strong.
Yeah, looking at this gold here, it's basically even for most of the lanes, but most of that gold lead, I think, what, you said 5,000? There's 1,000 up on Condi and 3,000 up on Looper, and then a couple of small leads littered here and there to close out the rest of that lead. This game is Looper's to win or lose at this stage. He's done a good job of winning so far, but M3, we've seen that they have, I'm going to say, some issues closing out games in a swift manner. This is not a game where you can afford to do that. Oh, Flame. Being caught in the Rylai's going to make Flame's life very miserable. There is nothing Maokai can do. He flashes away. That's about all he could do. And he will get away, but not again.
Yeah, burns the Righteous Glory, burns the Flash, and Looper's just like, that's completely fine. I don't want to chase you. That is all of your initiation gone unless you get an awesome flank through with the teleport. And all of a sudden, pressure on the opposite side of the map coming through for M3.
M3's rotations are on point this game. We talked about their mid-games being assertive in their recent victories. That Baron call they almost went in for was an example, as Condi's found TBQ, but they don't quite fancy going in there. I have to say, when M3 win games, I've been really impressed, and that might sound like a silly thing to say. Teams that win often look better than teams that lose. That's just a fact, right? But M3 have looked really crisp when getting ahead and staying ahead. It's been their late game and stuff like this that's maybe not so good, as Godby's going to get a free kill.
Yeah, grabs another kill onto Godby. He's gone such a cost-efficient build here. He's got a Void Staff on top of everything. Like what he's putting together, and maybe they will pull the trigger on a Baron.
I mean, maybe. Dade not quite level 16. Looper level 14. Been looking with those last rank in the ultimates. Dade very strong. Looper as well, especially when the Zhonya's comes online. Really, really powerful in this game. But people getting picked off means that M3 can't quite pick their fights. And a nice rotation gets some Tower in bottom lane, but does get their Lucian picked off.
Yeah, so in the end, they're not going to start it up. They were just trying to bait it. Not going to fall for that one at M3. SMLZ, he's back up in a couple of seconds. It's only going to require one more, and LGD, they pull out.
Can't really start Baron against Azir Rumble as well. We talked for a long time about AoE magic damage versus the Baron MR Shred, and kind of the same thing coming on here with M3's double AP comp.
Yeah, so not able to start that one up. They just get vision control over it, which will now be swept out. About 2.5 minutes on that all-important 5th Dragon, though, so maybe they should have tried to get vision control over the other side of the map, because I feel that is a more important objective right now. If you give a double AP comp 5 Dragons, they're going to tear you apart.
Yeah, and M3, I mean, they've already been doing that to LGD, unfortunately for them, and M3 have great wards on both sides of the map, but in particular, that Dragon that they might be looking for in a few minutes' time. Looper's back down the bottom. He's actually now level 15, so 1 level away from rank 3 equal, as we've already seen what the first 2 ranks have been doing here. M3, again, not in a rush, but don't seem to be lost here. It's not like some games we saw yesterday where the newer LSBL teams struggled to close out very long games. In fact, we had a series today that went very long, perhaps due to the freshness of those rosters there as well. M3 certainly looking control, but they have slowed down considerably when they've looked to close out a game.
Yeah, so they're starting to really try and play this one by the books. They've had that really frantic mid-game where they got themselves the big lead. And since then, they're like, okay, let's fight around objectives. Let's make sure that we have good vision control around Dragon. You see that Looper has controlled that area of the map extremely well. Dade now level 16. He's in a good spot with his Void Staff. So M3, they don't have to rush anything, because right now they're in a position to win a fight. Imp, however, still very strong. That's maybe the one carry they need to be careful of. And SMLZ needs to get himself bottom lane. It's a minute till Dragon, dude, and that's your 5th.
Yep, there he goes. He's going to rush down, spend the rest of his gold. M3 already in position to try and contest for some vision. Scuttle Crab not quite back up yet, so no Crab vision will be here just yet. And I mean, both the carries here for LGD are fairly scary. That's the problem with playing slower towards your endgame when you get ahead. The gold lead's been about 5,500 for the last 5 to 10 minutes, it feels like. And there's a difference between playing to win and playing not to lose, and it feels like M3 are a little too far on the wrong side of that fence sometimes.
Yeah, oh, and they've gone for it.
They actually are going in a great tornado there from Love CD. Going to keep them safe, and LGD, they know they have to fight soon, but M3 are now in position.
Yeah, so they use a very important ultimate there. The On the Hunt was burnt 20 seconds until Dragon's up, and they've just ceded complete control over the area.
Well, that might just spell game then here, because M3 will look into this 5th Dragon as their win condition. I think LGD have to fight here, but like you said, they're already backing away, maybe just trying to pick the perfect ultimate. Godby, this shockwave better be a good one, because you're only going to get one more, it looks like.
Yeah, it's all on TBQ and Godby right now, and doesn't look like they're in any position to fight it. SMLZ destroys if he goes for it.
Yep, not starting it just yet. M3, again, maybe a bit too cautious, hoping LGD come in. Dade going to set up some good Sand Soldiers, though, and I find it weird they haven't started the Dragon, but they know that they only need to win this team fight.
Yeah, well, the reason they haven't started is because they don't want the 50-50 steal. They're just trying to force them further and further back. Godby gets around the side.
Condi aggro to put Righteous Glory pop from Flame. Can't quite get in there. Might just try and force a 50-50 of their own. They're onto the Dragon. Godby zoning out. Big equalizer there onto Imp from Looper, but he's getting shredded down. He tries to flank them, but Imp manages to get away as Thresh gets the kill. Dragon is low. It will go over to M3 though, and now they're going to try and go back in. Massive shockwave from Oriana's going to turn it around, but Flame just kills everywhere at this point, and Dade cleaning up with 5 Dragons and a massive Azir. Condi going to chase it down again. It's actually only 2 for 2. Imp though far too low, and Dade just styling on Godby. Condi going to try and pick him up and smites him to death. Dade has gone off this game.
Yeah, Dade has really proven himself. We said a little bit of redemption might be on the table, and they get the 4 for 2 in the end. Dade goes absolutely berserk at the end of the fight. 3-2-10 really doesn't do justice how well he has played.
No, I mean, he played fine in game 1. The mechanics were certainly there, but the lead and the rest of himself and the team were not. This game, it's honestly, for all the work Loop has done in the early and mid game, it's been all Dade in the late.
Yeah, it certainly has. And you know, Dade, his mid game was okay. His laning phase wasn't good the first time around. Godby really did have a better game, but this time looks like M3 are in.
Imp caught out of position, potentially random with Zoma, nicely used by Condi. Imp nowhere good to go. No, Lantern keeps him safe as Looper pops the Zhonya's to keep himself safe. Imp will not fall, but LGD, this is one mountain to climb back out on top of.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you know, you look at it and you think maybe the damage was done because they got Baron buff for the next 5 minutes. Their 5th Dragon will, not 5 minutes, Baron buff doesn't go for that long, but next couple of minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. That would be a great Baron buff. To push out the lanes, they might even be able to pick up a couple of sneaky turrets the last couple of hours, and then 5th Dragon going to be back available in about 5 minutes is what I was going for. And from there, they can just force the whole thing over again.
And M3 extended their gold lead as well with the last fight. The worry was that they were going to stagnate. The gold wouldn't really shift, and they'd get closer together in strength as the game went on. But M3 jumped themselves back up about 9k ahead now in this game, and certainly on the offensive with both major buffs now ticking away on most of their members.
Yeah, another needlessly large rod picked up from Dade, so the damage he did last fight only going to be amplified further. You can see good rotation once again coming through. M3 moving into the top lane, going to pick themselves up another outer.
It looks like, no, there is actually another tier 2 in the mid lane, but they're going to clean up a couple turrets. SMLZ going to basically spit on that one, and it will fall down, although Dade going to get credit for the kill. Mid lane can be prepped in there as well. Baron Minion's going to come through. PYL, I mean, some big players going to have to come through here, but Dade will force everyone away when he sets up.
Yeah, Looper prepping the next minion wave as well. They're just trying to get them to make bad decisions right now because you don't want to run through the jungle if Dade's there. Although it has to escape out. And a little bit of pressure relief right now for LGD. They're being able to shove the wave back.
For a short while, maybe. Imp, we've talked about this a lot with Siva. Pretty good wave clear on that champion, so we'll keep him at bay for a while. Oh, nice fadeaway coming there from SMLC. Chunks PYL out, and that might mean they have to seed this turret.
Yeah, so in the end, the turret will probably go down the last outer, and then we'll just get the big reset, you feel. Although Baron still has about a quarter left on it, so they might try and push in further.
I mean, I think they need to break the base here. That was sort of what M3 set up for. They do have, I guess, reset options with the 5th Dragon again, because LGD currently have 0, just to remind you here in the game, but M3 can't quite get the base yet, maybe feeling like they need a little bit more here. And LGD going to get a respite for now, but they are now officially 10,000 gold behind.
Yeah, and you know, that was enough. I actually like the fact that they called quits on that because Baron, it's about to expire. They need to re-secure control over that part of the map where the 5th Dragon is going to come from because 5 Dragons to 0, they're just going to keep doing it. And Dade, he's about to grab a big minion wave. That's probably going to be Zhonya's.
Yeah, not to mention massive side waves. I mean, that's probably the one thing M3 haven't been able to execute on in this game in particular is some side wave control to really prep them when they do move these big Baron pushes in. That's something that we see from the absolute best teams in the world. So M3 again still working on, I feel like, the late game portion of their game, but I've seen a lot of, you know, if we're going to think about it in 3 parts, I've seen a lot of good part 1 and 2s.
Yeah, definitely coming through here. A lot better part 1, and I think it is credit to how mid-game focus they went with their team comp. They went with the Rek'Sai, they went with the Rumble this time around instead of the Sejuani, instead of the Gnar. So really credit to them to be able to patch up their mid-game, and now, minute 30, they're going to go for another 5th Dragon.
And you can see even the CS lead's looking decent. Dart is actually now ahead of Godby after picking up that massive wave in the bottom, and Loop has been ahead of Flame all game long, who was still horrendously behind in gold and CS, as you can see from the gold totals there. And SMLZ's been a bit behind Imp for most of the game, but still ahead, of course, in global gold. That's just sort of how it goes. I mean, Imp's relatively strong. Godby is as well, only about 1,500, 2,000 gold behind on Dade, but just as far as, you know, total team strength goes, Flame especially is behind, and if they get a pick here, it's looking good. Flame going to look in for it, but he can't even finish that.
Yeah, in the end, the culling used just to keep Flame at bay. That was not very much damage. So Flame is getting tanky coming through here, but 54 seconds. You see how far up the lanes they've been shoved. M3 just going to be able to reverse on this 5th dragon. And from there, you feel that the next Baron will just be child's play. I
mean, Dade now has 4 items as well. So if he's going to step in as the real late game carry of this double AP lineup, he's doing a damn good job of it as far as itemization goes. Looper as well, also a massive damage threat with his Void Stuff, I believe, finished off as his 4th item. So the damage is massive. Condi lies in wait. SMLZ doesn't quite give it away, but you can see LGD, they just can't afford to get too aggressive, and PYL gets knocked up, chunked out by Dade as well, and they're going to seed the next dragon.
Yeah, so that is probably 5th dragon right there, PYL TBQ, but they still have to fight for it. Unless they go for a shove down mid lane, try and trade very effectively. That's what they're going for.
I mean, they might get flanked at this point. That might not be good either here. And Dade, you can see, just setting up walls here with these Sand Soldiers, basically daring LGD to walk through them. And one misstep's going to cost Imp especially his life.
Oh, look how slowly Flame moves.
Poor Flame.
Just as soon as he gets hit by a harpoon, man, it looks like he's walking backwards.
I mean, that's kind of Rumble's harpoon with Rylai's in particular. Being a single target spell means it's pretty good with that, as LGD going to try it again. They use all the ultis. First dragon actually goes to LGD, but TBQ flashes in. Now Dade's going to come through. Ulti not quite there. He pops his Zhonya's equalizer down that's in a decent spot. Shockwave only onto Condi's not enough. And M3 Looper and the rest of the team are going to clean house.
Yeah, Looper just went absolutely nuts in that team fight over the backside. Godby throwing his ball out at Condi, trying to keep him at bay. They get the dragon, but they lose 3 members, and there is a huge wave in the top lane.
Yeah, they're moving top. SMLZ feels comfortable to split push the bottom side. Dade even sets up a turret in mid. So all 3 lanes, it looks like, going to push here, and M3 get one step closer to finishing this game.
Yeah, so looks like TBQ looking to shove them off here. Dade will rip through these turrets, however, and just a matter of time before the base is broken.
Just wait for the Arise. Doesn't even use it by the looks of things. Just a couple autos here. Don't even have their AD carry, but they're going to break the base on 2 different sides by the looks of things. First turret's fall. Inhibit is already down in the top, and the bottom Inhib turret is down as well.
Yeah, so they're able to get out. 30 seconds until Baron. They'll go back, reset for that prep, and with the top lane and bottom lane now under fire for LGD, that might just be the Baron going over as well, unless TBQ can get in for another steal.
Well, SMLZ going to take the blue buff as well, so advantages upon advantages here as Lucian, now another threat here. M3 have 3 really strong threats at this stage.
Yeah, and this is what we talk about. Double AP comps, all of a sudden, the lack of armor building up, and Lucian is now maxed out. He'll go back, might even be, yeah, Merc Scimitar, finished. And that is a heck of a lot of damage. Maybe only the Trinity Force to be swapped out for the Static Shiv, but that's just a luxury at this point.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely a luxury as TBQ. Going to put down a ward. Looper has not spotted it. Doesn't actually have a sweeper, so it doesn't matter. Puts a pink in the Baron pit, though. And you said it already. M3 going to prep for this Baron. And LGD have lots of different choices to make, but unfortunately for them at this stage, they're all bad.
Yeah, so now M3, they're just going to wait for top lane to go in. Probably the least advantaged lane to be able to get a Baron is maybe Looper will get caught here.
Oh. Yeah, you can see the harpoons. Whenever they land, Rumble just slows people for days. And he gets 2 of them.
Yeah, so
sweet.
The luxury, the value harpoons coming out there. And you see Condi, he's starting to zone away from this, using the Tremor Sense to scout where people are coming from. M3 just want them to come to them. You can see them repetitively pinging the top lane.
Yeah, they've got the one in Hib, so they can afford to be patient here. The wave's going to push in the other sides as well. And Imp, with a shield there, manages to get away from that auto, I believe. But he really can't afford to fight anyone 1v1. Needs to just be there riding with his tanks like we've seen so many successful Sivir players do. But this is where Sivir does struggle here. When you can't be proactive in these fights, when you get zoned out like this, or just crushed by all the damage that the enemy team has, Sivir's not the same massive AD carry that we've seen time and time again early on in this season.
Yeah, and you can see Dade just zoning everyone. Creeps and now in the base. They're going to have to come through middle. But Baron's been started up.
I mean, they can finish it pretty quickly as well. And Dade just going to zone Imp out. SMLZ kind of doing it solo, actually. Maybe just trying to bait them in. PYL gets low there. Shockwave lands. Big damage there, but Love City doesn't quite die and pops his ulti. Condi going to move through. Dade gets Flame, and Looper diving into the backline, going to try and take out Godby. Pops his zone. He's going to let the rest of his team catch up, and it's only one pick, but that's about all they need.
Yeah, so they'll turn back around. Creep still in the base, cutting off the second minion wave, and SMLZ might be able to tank it.
Did Dade do? Yes, he did. He did exactly what I thought he did. Went full Dade, and Imp actually takes him out.
Yeah, so in the end, a base turret goes down, so they will retreat. Dade gives up his life. Interesting choice. Both base turrets went down.
Yeah, I mean, Dade maybe just trying to buy some time, but he really wanted Imp dead.
Yeah, so in the end, Imp, he lives, Dade, he dies, but Baron goes down, both base turrets go down, and M3, now with the 16,000 gold lead, probably going to win this.
And you can see 42, 43 minutes in almost. It's been kind of a slow closer for M3. This is certainly what we've been seeing in M3's victories, and they've actually got a decent winning percentage here in the first 2 weeks of the LPL. Looks like they're going to get another win on the board here and force an impressive split with LGD, but certainly M3, there are points in their playstyle where you can see these X and Y needs to be cleaned up. They're early game in, I think maybe 50% of situations, and they're late game in almost all of them here, but they're playing safe, they're playing careful. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that, especially while they keep learning and growing as a team. And M3, after playoffs, seem reignited by summer. It's not going to be the king of spring this time for Dade, but he's going to make another crack at a different season.
Yeah, he certainly is, and you know, this is a much more promising game coming through. He's apart from the last team fight being very good, been starting up all the fights he needs to for his team. And, you know, with how good Godby is on Orianna, that really is a credit to Dade to be able to stick in this one after he even had some more attention early game. It was just matched this time by M3.
Yeah, was struggling a bit in the lane against Orianna, but not nearly the same as the Varus that Godby played in the last one. So M3 looking to close the trap here. LGD holding on as best they can. You can see this gold lead sort of neutralized given that we're so late in the game, but M3 still look just fine here in the later stages, and LGD, they've weathered many, many storms. They're still not dead just yet here, but it's going to take a PYL Bard miracle, and there's no Bard in this game, for them to pull it out.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you know, neutralized on the main carries, but jungle, big one-item discrepancy coming through in favor of M3. Top lane, there are so many discrepancies, it's not funny.
Well, they're going to try and force a fight here. Silverolt's pop. Flame's going to dive into the backside. SMLZ flashes out. Shockwave goes awry, and SMLZ going to get the first kill onto Flame. Dade flanking in the backside, just crushes him, and SMLZ, that's the triple there. Condi going to find Godby there and knock him up. TBQ off to the side as Condi's trying to chase him down, but M3 just going to take the base. SMLZ will be content with his triple, and M3 are going to force a 1-1 split.
Yeah, so they're able to get the 1-1 against LGD, who still can't buy a 2-0 for themselves. Credit to M3 for being able to turn this one around.
It's so interesting to see very different teams here. LGD, your second place finisher from spring in the playoffs, and a solid force in that season. And M3, a team that finished ninth, didn't make playoffs, were forced to play back into form in the relegation tournament. And all of a sudden, if you told me that those two teams have been in opposite situations in spring, I'd probably believe you.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see LGD that don't look too happy with their second game. Still have a lot to take away from game one. I think Varus mid is something a lot of people are now going to start looking at and banning away from Godby. But in the end, when M3 looked early game, they came up with some answers.
They did, and again, it's just a consistency thing, it feels like. M3 have all the tools to be a competitive